Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video, and today I have one of my favorite knives in recent years to share with you. This is the Kizer Escort. And this is not the first time I've reviewed the Kizer Escort. A number of years ago, this is a Dirk Pinkerton design. I've been a fan of Dirk Pinkerton for a while. He has a number of cool knives out there, but the Escort was one that came out a number of years ago from Kizer. It was a titanium frame lock with a black blade, and that was the only complaint I had about it. It was a great knife. The action was nice. The fit and finish was great, but it's essentially the same blade as what you see here. It was just black. And I thought, man, if this was available in a stonewash or satin finish, I would like it a lot more. But even as it was, I reviewed the knife quite positively. Anyway, in the 2022 version of the Kizer Escort, and by the way, I've heard some rumors there might be a larger knife, a larger version coming out. That would be great. Anyway, in the 2022 version, we get aluminum scales, a clutch lock, and a 20 CV blade, which are fantastic. In fact, let me say, Kizer has been killing it the last little while. They have a bunch of knives that are just absolutely superb. Um, the one that stood out to me recently, the two that really stood out to me recently were I had the Kizer Towser, which was great, dual row ceramic bearings, 154 cm steel, great price point. I think it was like $70 or something, just a great knife. Then there was the Cormorant, which was kind of ugly, but also kind of phenomenal. And again, great steel on that knife, really good price point, phenomenal action, felt great in hand, just a great knife. And better than both of those, I love the XL bag letter. Uh, Again, great action, dual row ceramic bearings, really nice blade in a really nice steel. There's just so much to enjoy from Kizer these days. And for a while, I'd honestly given up on them. I was like, forget it. I guess Kizer is just going to fade away. And then, the last year or so, they've just sort of had a resurgence and really been hitting it hard with some excellent, excellent models. And they still have some other really nice looking models. Even this knife, it's available in a couple of different micarta versions. So far, this is the only one with the satin blade, which for me, or I mean, with the stonewash blade. I'm not a big fan of black blades, so this one stands out to me. But I could definitely see myself getting a different version of this if there was micarta the with the stonewash. Anyway, I've gone on and on about this, and we haven't even gotten to look at the knife yet. So let me give you a quick rundown on size and weight, which is really the only thing that I don't love, and I still like it. It's definitely big enough, but if it was just a little bit bigger, it would be a little bit better. All right, so 7 3/4 inches overall, 3 1/4 inch blade, 3 7/8 inch grip area. So that's measured from right here because you're not going to use this area too much. Um, 4.5 inches closed. All right, so that's how much space you're taking up in your pocket when closed, and 4.2 ounces to carry around with you, which is not bad at all considering what you're getting here. All right, so yeah, great size for EDC. Again, I would like to see this be 3.5 inches instead of 3 1/4 inches, but 1/4 inch, is anyone really going to notice that? Probably not. And honestly, in my day-to-day carry and use, I really don't. It's more of a theoretical issue that I have. So thinking of blade, let's touch on this blade first of all. All right. So we have 20 CV steel, nice and thin behind the edge with that flat saber grind drop point. Really nice fuller there that adds a really cool design element. The blade stock is not terribly thick, so it's just a little under 1/8 of an inch, which for the purposes of this knife are absolutely fine. All right. Also notice they've done a really nice job on that sharpening choil, so you're going to have lots and lots of life there. No chance of developing a smile on that knife at all, which is what we love to see. So blade up front, yeah, it is really, really well done. So well done that I'd like to see a little more of it, right? But even as it stands, absolutely great. Okay, so yeah, the blade is a total win. Moving on to the lock. Okay, so we've got the clutch lock here, and this is this is Kizer's version of the axis lock. We all know the story. The patent's gone on the axis lock, and so other people can use it, and they are. And I think Kizer might be the best one I have seen. I've handled a number of different crossbar locks. There are a number of them out there, and I haven't handled them all. So maybe someone's doing a better job, but I don't know of anyone that's doing this. So we have an Omega spring in here, and if I grab a flashlight, I can show you. Inside, let's see, can you see it on that side? Yeah, you can see it there. Okay, so inside of this stainless steel liner, there are some holes, and those holes allow you to actually adjust. Maybe you can see it better on this side. There you go. I think you can see it there. Anyway, those holes are where one side of the spring clips in, the other side of the spring attaches to the crossbar, and that's what gives it the tension. Okay, so what that means by having those holes, sorry guys, so by having those holes, that actually means you can adjust the spring tension on that lock bar, which is such a great idea. And I'm not sure why no one has thought of this before, but that's absolutely excellent. And so, yeah, if this was a little too hard or a little too soft, I could adjust that Omega spring and have the option of getting that detent just exactly how I wanted it. Furthermore, we have the complaint of, Omega springs sometimes breaking, but right from the start, Kizer just includes in the box extra Omega springs along with some other hardware. So huge, huge win. And that seems like the obvious solution for Benchmade to avoid any problems. And Benchmade's already charging a premium. Like, it seems like a no-brainer that they would do this, but they don't. And in fact, I've heard lots of people talk about the challenges they've had getting an Omega spring. And if you're here in Canada and it's not a simple thing to send a knife back to the manufacturer, that's an issue that is quite troubling. So really, really glad that Kizer has gone the route that they have. And I will say on this particular knife, it is implemented perfectly. This is one of the most fidget-friendly knives that I own. In fact, I regularly find myself just picking this up and carrying it around the house, or while I'm watching a movie or whatever, just flicking it open and closed. It is so good. I can Spidey flick it. Sometimes I get my index finger in the way. There we go. So you can Spidey flick it using the thumb stud, though, not with the fuller. And you can see that blade sits really, really close to the handle. It's almost like a Quaken style, not quite. But because of that, you're definitely not getting your fingers in that fuller to be able to flick it that way. All right. Thumb stud is grippy. The thumb stud is also nice and grippy, so it allows for quick, easy deployment. So really, really well done. So far we've gotten this far down the knife, right? We've talked about the blade, we've talked about the lock, we've talked about the bearing pivot, all of which are really, really nicely done. Now let's touch on, we've got these aluminum scales with stainless steel liners. Again, you could probably pull this knife off with just the aluminum scales and lighten it up a little bit, although it's not heavy anyway. They've also done a little bit of jimping on these scales that is pretty subtle, but it is there and it's kind of noticeable. The black ano on the aluminum is nice and grippy. So, in terms of ergonomics, I'm pretty happy with this. All right. Do I like my Carta a little bit better? Well, sure. And do I like, Contour G10 or something a little bit better? Yeah, but this is pretty darn nice. Like, I really can't legitimately offer any complaints about ergonomics on this without being truly unfair. It is very comfortable in hand. Moving down to the butt end, you can see there's a nice generous lanyard hole if you're that kind of guy. And then there's the bent over clip, which with flush screws. Now, they're flush screws, but there's not a recessed spot for the clip to sink into. That'd really be about the only extra detail that you could add to improve this knife. Like, it is really, really well done. All right, so now that we've kind of gone over everything, and really everything is really good here. Like I just can't find much to complain about. I'm really nitpicking when I talk about the size or about, the fact that this doesn't fit flush. Now this is a little steep. I recently looked these up, and I think when I got this one, they were around 140. These might be up to around like 160 or 170 these days, which is a little much, but it is really stinking good. So I can't honestly complain that much. I do want to throw in a couple of comparisons. Of course, the obvious one is going to be the Benchmade Super Freak. We could probably substitute a bunch of Benchmades in here, the Griptilian or the oh, now of course my mind's going blank. But there are tons of Benchmades with axis locks that we could throw in here. The mini Crooked River would be similar. I have, of course, a full-size Crooked River, so there. And there's a staple stuck to it. So there's a full-size Crooked River, not at all in the same ballpark, but it does happen to have the axis lock. In terms of other great EDC options we might want to throw in by way of comparison, here we have the Spyderco Manix 2 Lockback, my favorite version of the Manix 2. Great knife, and if you can find one of these on the secondary, they're not in production anymore, but they are great. I love the Manix 2 Lockback. Para 2 is probably worth, sorry guys, I'm messing up the lighting, so I'm banging into things as I'm grabbing some other knives here. Obviously a Para 2 might be a good comparison. Similar price point, similar purpose in terms of, trying to just be a really, really great EDC knife. Aluminum handle on the Cold Steel Code 4. Again, a knife that really, does a lot right. So both of these with aluminum handles, both, pretty good materials. Obviously, the Code 4 is going to be a little more competitive in terms of price point. We could also throw in the American Lawman, which is closer in size. Okay, so there's the American Lawman. So all of these would be some of the knives that I would consider the very best EDC knives that are available out there. And the Kizer really stacks up to all of them very, very well, and for sure beats some of them, especially depending on how much you value that fidget factor, because it really kills just about every other knife I've shown you here in that department. All right. So now that we've run through some comparisons, look, guys, this has been a very positive review. And I genuinely feel like this is probably the best thing that Kizer has ever done. The Kizer T1 would probably be the next closest competitor that I could think of. But I would take this over a T1 any day of the week. I like it much, much better. The T1 is a little small for me, and I found the handle kind of cramped, where I don't get that at all with this, even though it's not substantially bigger. All right. Price point is maybe the only thing you could complain about. We're used to seeing really, really attractive budget price points from Kizer, and this has been bumped up recently, but I suspect that's just a fluke. I'll bet you these are available for 140 sometime in the next little while. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out those channel sponsors. Last time I checked, these were still available at White Mountain Knives. You can use my discount code over there, save yourself 10% off, and that's a huge help to the channel. Again, I'll thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.